Nobody would have thought that I would be the one. Rhyner, sports talk.
Baseball, 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 baseball.
Oh, with the big mic. Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Okay, now I get it.
We've had a lightning strike, boys. What happened over there, Grego?
What? Although somebody would hear that and go, bullshit.
I'm back, bitches.
Hey, 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 boys and girls. Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Your Dark Companion. Yes, yet another episode. Today, it is the 5th of November. It's election day out there. Hope you all have done your civic duty, and if you haven't, I certainly hope you plan to. If you don't, then you have no room to bitch about anything going on in this great land of ours because you did not play a part in changing it or making it better or worse. All right, enough of that for today. We got the whole crew here inside the mothership. Shoopy is here, Ashley is here, Mickey is here, Becca is here. I would be Mike Rhyner, your congenital host, and I'm very excited about the show today, or the gig today. We call this show. It's a podcast. I'm kind of uncomfortable with that, but the gig. Let's just say the gig today, because we have one of the best guitar players to ever emerge from our Fairburg with us today. You know him from his work with the New Bohemians, Forgotten Space. That's where I know his work from. You may know more about him than I do, and that's what we want to find out today. What he's up to now, what he's done that I don't know anything about. He is the great Kenny Withrow.
Yeah. Applause.
How are you,
have a
man?
studio audience.
I'm real good. Really happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for doing this. I'm very excited to have you.
Absolutely.
So, how do you feel your days these days? I've kind of lost track on you.
Uh-huh.
You know, you left Forgotten Space, and I know you're out there somewhere, but I just didn't know where.
Yeah, people say that about me a lot. I'm definitely out there. But no, for real. I left Forgotten Space, and I kind of, a lot of things sort of just kind of settled down. New Bohemians started playing again. We did a benefit for this school I was working for, Laura and Daya, and New Bohemians did a benefit for it at the Kessler. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, we figured out we could still play together. We hadn't played together much since we had lost Carter. And so it was kind of our first time doing that again. We had some improv jams and things like that, but this was the first time we played without Carter. And we ended up writing some tunes. And before you know it, we're like, we should make a record, and we made a record. And decided to do it again, and Edie got a jam space down in Wimberley, mm-hmm. and I moved down there about 4 years ago, so that's probably why you hadn't seen me as much. And been jamming down there. It's a sprawling thing. It used to be a wedding venue, and there's like a barn there, a house that they live in, and then there's a shack there that Paul immediately made into a studio.
Yeah.
And he did his 7 Psalms record. Have you heard about that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's like he was having a series of dreams that he was going to write a record called 7 Psalms, literally in dreams. It's well documented. And he wrote down what his dreams were every day, and he had to look up what a psalm was exactly. And anyway, he received all this stuff, and he recorded this record in a little shack down there on the land where I've been living and stuff. So anyway, I've been in the Airstream and for when they were gone, and living in there, and living in a tiny home for about last 4 years, and been different, just music for 4 years now. I know what that's like now.
Is it odd getting away from the city and going to a place like that?
I loved it personally.
I mean, you hear a lot about guys doing that, you know, mm-hmm. and I've talked to guys who have done that a lot, and it's kind of a varied thing. How's it for you?
Well, I mean, I was looking for it at the time. I was definitely looking for lots of different reasons. Was wanting to really hunker down and like, let's do this music thing before it's too late and see how freaking what I can do with it.
Yeah,
and I really started practicing and things like that. And so I wanted some seclusion and wanted to be down there. And it's real quiet there, especially where they are. It's off of any sort of highway, and the mornings and evenings became like this thing. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. It's beautiful. Now I'm up at 5 and 6 every day, and that started this whole thing of getting up super early. Mornings are a ritual and all that stuff. But I honestly used to give people a hard time that would be out in the country and come in and go, oh my God, the city's so loud, and they hold their ears and just basically bitch about the city. And
now you see what they're talking about.
I totally did. I drove into Austin like 2 months into it. I'm like, oh, I'm that guy. But I've come full circle again, and now I kind of want to be back. And I miss Dallas. I miss the community. I miss family, and miss being able to play whenever I want and things like that.
Shoopy, you need a roommate, don't you?
I always need roommates. Thing about it is, you got to look after me. You got to make sure I'm where I'm supposed to be and stuff.
Wearing pants.
Yeah, and wearing pants. Yeah, sometimes I forget about that. So, how's the music thing going? How's it coming out this time? Is it like it was before, or you guys off into a new type of thing, or what?
Well, we released the record called Rocket. That was that record, and we did another one as well called Hunter and the Dog Star. And so we did a couple records, and we were looking at maybe doing one more, and we did last June. We unfortunately lost our bass player Brad Hauser, who passed away. And we recorded that record. Well, we haven't finished it yet, but we recorded a record that we're still working on, the June, and we lost Brad. But we're going to do this one more album. And the way things are different is, and I think this is true with a lot of bands, is it's not really about selling records if you want to make money or have a business. Yeah. I mean, it's really about a live situation, because there's no standard format for radio or listening or for somebody to consume your recording. There's no standard. There is, but you don't get paid by it. Spotify, you don't get paid. And Apple, you barely get paid. And so that's just where we are now, and then people now, unless you have like a Twitch stream and you've got 1 million followers, and that's a whole nother way to do it. Yeah. That we considered doing, but that's a young person's game. I mean, we thought about, cause we were jamming every day. We thought about streaming our jams every day and improvs and stuff like that. And
did you try it just to see?
No. I mean, mainly, well, we did actually.
I'm saying that hopefully because I'd like to check that out.
Well, we did. We filmed quite a few things, and what we found out is if you put up lights and cameras and stuff, and like, okay, now improvise now. It's not always the best jams. Jams happen on accident.
Yeah.
And
jams are spontaneous.
Yeah. It's like, so we're always trying to catch fire in a bottle like that. Lightning or whatever they call it.
And are your songs coming from jams, or is it a little more structured, or y'all just figure out a riff to play off of and go from there?
Yeah, that's one way to do it. Yeah, we have a song called Green Magic that was definitely a band-written tune that's a riff and she's singing about green magic. I don't know, it's about weed or something.
Nice.
And that tune was written by Riff, but some tunes, I mean, Edie writes complete tunes. Sometimes I bring in complete musical things, but her and I are partners, and we've partnered up on a few tunes. In fact, I brought 2 tunes today if we want to listen to them. But I brought Green Magic, a live version, and there's a song called what the heck's the name of that song? Anyway, I brought the second acoustic tune that we wrote it together.
Nice.
Yeah. And so we partner up and we do it lots of different ways.
I love that.
Yeah.
So how many guys you got in the band now?
Well, since we lost Brad, we are kind of regrouping, deciding how we're going to do it. We had a memorial for Brad last year. And do you know who Patrice Pike is, singer?
I know the name.
She used to have Little Sister and Sister 7 in Dallas in the 80s, early 90s. But she's moved to Austin. She's like an icon in Austin now, Patrice Pike Band and stuff like that. Anyway, we did this memorial, and we were going to perform some New Bohemian songs, and Patrice sang with us, and Edie was there actually, and we did 4 New Bohemian songs, and she sang the Edie parts, and Edie was there, and we did some songs with her, and she was blown away by the way it went down, and it did go down super strong, and she was like, okay, you guys need to tour as this band. I'll still write songs for you guys, and this could be a thing. And so we're really toying with the idea of continuing, because she doesn't necessarily want to tour.
And this is Edie we're talking about, right?
We're talking about Edie doesn't want to tour.
Okay.
And I think we might have Patrice, just call it New Bohemians, and Patrice may start singing with us and continue on. And Edie and I still write tunes together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seriously considering that.
How do you think that's going to go over with the New Bohemians audience?
Well, it was super strong when we did it. Super strong. And everybody was like, y'all should do this. I mean, people came to us and said, do that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. I mean, we're in the considering it phase because that's a big thing. It's a real big thing.
That's a huge thing. I would
to
think.
play without a bass player and without Edie. And people generally know us for only Edie. But we would go in with our eyes wide open knowing that. And this is probably be a road vehicle. And we just kind of go from town to town and play play all the songs that we weren't even playing anymore in New Bohemians and have a record out. And I think room by room we could be what we were.
Yeah.
Are.
You've replaced Brad and everything?
Well, we have a buddy, Clay Pendergrass, who's a local guy. And so far we've done 2 gigs, and there were 4 bass players at the first one because we didn't want just one. And so we had our best friend bass players come and play, and we switched it off. Clay is kind of, it turned into maybe he's going to be the bass player. But so far we've done different ones, including Brad's wife. She's a Japanese woman who is a bass player, and she played with us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was something.
That's interesting.
Yeah. That was really something.
I've always wondered what it's like in the group dynamic, what it's like in your relationship with your audience when a guy in the band dies and you lose a guy like that, and a guy that's been there all those years like Brad was. Mm-hmm. You do all those shows, people go to those shows, they see him, he's part of the fabric of the thing. But I always wonder what it's like internally for something like that with you guys. I mean, what was the process of working around that like for you and the others?
That is a process still going on for sure. We haven't played much without Brad. I could probably answer that question better with Carter when we lost Carter.
Yeah.
And because that was really devastating for sure. That was another version of the band that started in like 06 or 05. And we made a record called Stranger Things. And that was a band for sure. He was in the band, and that was a very solid.
This is Carter Bouchard we're talking about, right?
We're talking about Carter Albrecht.
Carter
Yes,
Carter
sir.
Bouchard. Oh my God.
Baseball player?
No. He's a guy that I haven't thought of in a long time, and I hope like hell we can edit that.
We're
Yeah,
live,
Carter
Shoopy.
Albrecht. I meant Carter Albrecht. Yeah.
But yeah, when we lost him, we immediately stopped playing and found it was quite a few years before we could really play again. The way Edie said it, and I agreed, she said, I just couldn't really look over to that side of the stage and not see him. I'm just not prepared to do that. And it was years before we really could. And I don't know why Brad is a little bit different. I think because Brad wants us to play. And I know it because I talked to him about it last year. So that's a little different. I know that he wants us to play.
Yeah.
So that's a little different.
Yeah, I guess that would shade things a little different way.
Yeah.
Is the music coming out any differently now, or is it about the same Nubo type of thing that it always was, or what kind of changes do you see in that?
Well, we haven't quite gotten there. We are going to write some songs with Patrice, and I can comment on this record that we have. And it is a little bit different. It's kind of old school Bohemians, kind of the way we wrote in the really early days. And definitely from improvising. And, most things we've just set up and stand there and look at each other until the song came out. So these were a little bit different more than partnering off with Edie and myself. So it has a little bit more of a band sound, and some of it's a little groovy and kind of old sounding, and some of it is very psychedelic, and and we can just write a pop song. Edie loves to write pop songs. A couple more. It just comes out that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, on the records, there would be a song like that sounded really popish to me. Mm-hmm. Now and again, and I did like those quite a bit. I mean, it was popish, yet it was still very much you guys.
Now, when we came out in '88, where were you? Were you on the radio in '88?
No, I was not on the radio in '88. I was in Fanland then. And I would occasionally, I wasn't a big part of the scene or anything like that. I wasn't playing or really doing anything with it. But there were a couple times when you guys were out and about where I would go see you. And I thought, okay, this is something that I don't really know. This is not the kind of band that I was ever in or anything like that. This is something different, and I like this. This is good. This is cool.
Nice.
So that period in my life is known by some as my dark period.
I remember that term.
And
I didn't want to go right there and ask you that, but yeah.
and you guys, probably as much as anybody, came closest to cracking the code on that and getting me back to where I used to be and getting me back into the mindset that I used to have toward it all and everything like that. And honestly, I thank you for that.
Thank you. That makes me feel good.
That was really cool. That was really, really cool.
I'll tell Edie we helped end the dark period.
Yes.
This is
And she'll say, cool story, bro. All right, I want to go back to the very beginnings with you. Where are you? Are you from Dallas? Are you a Dallas guy?
I'm from Ohio originally. We moved here when I was 5 years
I
old.
think that's close enough.
I'm from, what's that?
I think that's close enough.
See, close enough.
Yeah.
See, I like that. Sorry,
And-
Ohio.
And you came up through the arts magnet, as I understand it. Is
Yeah,
that-
I grew up in East Dallas. I went to Woodrow Wilson just my freshman year, and they invited me to not come back, and I went to Arts Magnet where I was not getting in quite as much trouble. You got a Kleenex? I could use it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. But yeah,
He's
I went
got
to-
everything over there.
excuse me, I'm sorry.
Would you like some ham?
Yes, some chipped
Yeah.
ham, please. But yeah,
So Woodrow invited you not to come back the next year.
they did. I was so good at skipping school, and just, if they knew what I didn't get caught at, they would have been impressed for sure. But I did get caught too many times, and they were like, "We think you would do better in another school." And so I went to Arts Magnet. They were right, and it was really a blessing to get to go to Arts Magnet. That's where I learned about music in general. I didn't really care for jazz and stuff like that, but I learned about Bob Marley and Devo and Mahavishnu Orchestra and Miles Davis and the cool stuff that my friends were listening to. And I was a Rush kid. He had that's all that mattered. I could play Rush. In Dallas, if you were a young guitar player, you had to be able to play Rush.
Yeah.
I love this.
I used to take a very dim view of Rush, and I've completely come around on it. Now I'm filled with Rush regret because I will never see them in their complete and total form, and I really, really regret that.
Yeah.
We have a couple guys in Petty Theft that are big Rush guys, and every time they would come through here, they would go see them, and they just begged me to go with them. But I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And now I really regret that. When did you start playing exactly? How old were you when you first pick up a guitar and did something that was kind of like playing?
I started at 11, and I probably would have started playing music earlier if there was an instrument around. They would come around once a year in elementary school and shop the instruments for you to play in orchestra. They're like, you could do flute, you could do drums, and I was always like, yeah, either flute or drums. That's the only cool thing that happens in the orchestra for sure. I'm not doing a horn. And it just never really came around, but I was in the back of my head. I was kind of a shy kid, so like playing music seemed like a good way to get around stuff. And I wanted to play drums, but there was a guitar there one Christmas morning, and so I guess I'm a guitar player. And yeah, I really took to it. And my sister's boyfriend, Mark Grebe, hello Mark out there, taught me some songs, and that was that. I was 11.
You were 11 at the time, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you hate
absolutely.
picks from the very start?
Did I do what?
Did you hate picks from the very start?
Did I do what?
I feel like I've never seen you play with a pick.
Oh, I do picks. I'm a hybrid picker.
Okay.
So the pick with the fingers, the
Nice.
hybrid pick. Yeah, I would love to get credit for not using a pick because those guys are cool.
Yeah.
But nah, I'm least hybrid though.
Fair enough.
That seems like a very difficult technique to learn. But I guess after you do it for a while, it's just the way you play.
Yeah, that kind of came from wanting to play a little bit like a piano. There's a and kind of like a harp. There was a guy in the 80s named Andres Vollenweider. That was sort of a new agey kind of guy. And he had, like in 85, he was really hot for a minute. And we were obsessed with him. And he would play these chords on a harp that sounds like a guitar. And just, yeah, that comes from that and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I learned from Ted Nugent and Led Zeppelin and listening to the radio. And that's how I really learned how to play guitar, is Led Zeppelin, Ted Nugent.
Did you get it from your parents or anything? Were they musical?
No, that was a generation removed. Probably my big brother was closer, and his friends, Aerosmith. You know, they were very much 70s Dallas. I want to say thugs, but they're my brother's friends, and that's not right. No, they were just Dallas freaks. You know.
Did your brother like play or anything like that?
He likes to play drums now. He's a drummer now, but there were that was just seemed like the thing to do. The coolest kids around could actually play guitar and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you're there at the Arts Magnet.
Yeah.
And how did New Bow come together? Isn't that where they came together?
Well,
That's the story I've always heard anyway.
Well, that's where we all had met each other, and then after graduating, a few of us went on to Richland College, and we're playing in the jazz band there. Brad Hauser and Brandon and myself were playing in the jazz band there. They started the band with another guitar player named Eric Presswood, and that was New Bohemians, and that was kind of out of Richland College. And he kind of, within a very short period of time, I joined that band, and then after Edie and John Bush, the percussionist, was my roommate. So that all kind of happened in 84 out of Richland College. Yeah.
So it all came together there, and that's a pretty long time for a unit like that to stay together.
Well, we're all best friends, you know, and became best friends. And in high school, we had a group of friends called the Munch Puppies or Munchers.
Great
So,
name.
yeah. For some, we would like get together and jam and work up a good appetite somehow.
Yeah.
And so we were known for munching and playing pretty much that.
I'm here to help.
It was funny. We had actual bong Olympics at one point, and it was really awesome. Yeah, we had a whole mount and dismount. You could enter the room and a whole thing. And my buddy Big Al, he was actually the master at it. I mean, he had such form. I recommend a bong Olympics.
For the
it's
kids,
a lost
what
art.
is the Bong Olympics? Tell us about it.
I don't know. Maybe you need to do a dissertation of some kind on the range of events for the Bong Olympics.
Yeah. Is it like a decathlon or just single event?
Well, you know, it's the distance events that really are popular for sure. You know, the endurance is where it really all kicks in
Gotcha.
for sure. Yeah.
All right, now since you come from another generation of player than I want to talk to you about the guys who first blew your mind. In my day, it was Clapton, it was Jeff Beck, it was Jimmy Page, it was all the British guys. They were the ones who set the template. They were the ones that we all wanted to be. And when I say we all wanted to be, we wanted to look like them. We wanted to dress like them. We wanted to do everything as close to the way they did it as we could. And that included play like them. And some of us could do that better than others.
Sure.
Was there somebody like that for you?
Sure. A couple of them. Definitely Jimmy Page early on was the guy.
Yeah.
You know, Song Remains the Same was at the theater, and you could just go see it. It was on for like a year or two in North Park. And so we went and saw that all the time, and I was obsessed with just the way that movie went down and the way they played shows and just the mystique involved with Led Zeppelin was, you could just obsess over it. I had a Led Zeppelin poster in my room, and I would just look at that Les Paul of his for hours and hours and hours. I finally got a Les Paul copy, and it looked like Jimmy Page's guitar, and, you know, actually learned the solo for Celebration Day, and, you know, I'm just like, yeah, it was a thing. He was my first guitar hero, and yeah, I wanted dark curly hair. There's no question.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah, that was a thing.
We all did.
But and then like I think Jeff Beck, I started to really be into Jeff Beck just because like what is going on there? It just really just blew me away. What's going on with Jeff Beck? for sure. There quite a few, but I would say Jimmy Page was my first obsession. Alex Lifeson, very much Alex Lifeson. Learning La Villa Strangiato, and there's. I said it before, and it's true. In Dallas, there were just degrees of where there are marks you had to hit as a guitar player. Can you play this song? Can you play La Villa Strangiato? Can you know? And there were bands. In fact, there was a bass player in Dallas, and somebody knows who I'm talking about. People my age. There was a guy. He looked exactly like Geddy Lee, and this guy was made. He was born to be Geddy Lee, and then he had this Rush band, and he could sing exactly like Geddy Lee and play exactly like him. And to this day, I wonder. I mean, I guess he's Geddy Lee. I don't know. Yeah,
he kind of probed in the butt.
I think so. What?
What are you doing?
I think that's a really good. That's a really good question. That's a good guess.
So he just kind of wafted away into the wind, and nobody knows what happened to him or anything like that.
I certainly wonder, and I'm only mentioning it because I hope somebody will contact me and tell me. I mean, this is a very selfish thing to bring up, but this guy was amazing,
fine.
and he looked just like him, and it was it was an amazing thing. But yeah, that was part of it. You had to learn the Rush, and there's certain things you had to sort of learn to be a guitar player, and that all went out at the window once I got to Arts Magnet. And
all went out the window?
It did, yeah. My goals changed and stuff like that.
And so, okay, where did you go then? What were you wanting to do then once you got to the Arts Magnet?
There's 2 King Crimson records called Beat and Discipline.
Mm-hmm.
That was the sound of my high school for those 3 years. And it seems really weird, but it was Arts Magnet High School. You know, we're art kids. We like weird stuff. Can I cuss? If I cuss, is that bad?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Fucking do it.
No, we are not regulated by the FCC. You say what you want.
Well, I've been really holding back. I just want you to know that. But
Well, you be you, man.
Thank you. But yeah, we were talking about influence in high school and stuff like that. Yeah, I was really into that King Crimson record. So it was just more obsessed with different stuff and classic rock and things like that. It just sounded different to me. I just kind of moved on to other stuff. Yeah, I rediscovered it later on, but it just didn't sound the same. Led Zeppelin didn't mean the same thing to me anymore. Yeah.
What took its place?
You know, kind of more proggy stuff and fusion and things like that. I like Miles Davis.
All right. Okay, I see. You went from Led Zeppelin into the King Crimson thing, and then beyond that.
Yeah, I think so.
Because you have a really unique style that I've always had a hard time figuring out what you draw from. You know, I mean, I try and listen for something that might be a strong indicator, and it's never really there. You're just you, which I guess really is a pretty good place to be. It's where you want to be.
Yeah. It's like raised on Ted Nugent, but I hung around with Pat Metheny. So it's kind of something like that. Like raised on Ted Nugent and Led Zeppelin, and then I watched Pat Metheny play some, and so it's somewhere in between those, you know. But I never sat and learned jazz. I mean, in high school when they were teaching swing, I was like, it was boring, you know. If I'm bored, I have a hard time learning stuff I'm bored with. I mean, everybody does, but I really do. I can't pay attention, and so I like in between things, fusion, things coming together, and I don't really judge things good or bad. I like to just pull things together, whatever they are. So I'm hoping my style is like an amalgamous of lots of different things that can't be pegged. I hope so.
Yeah. So in those days back then, you're listening to all these different kinds of music and doing the prog thing and everything like that. Was there any one particular thing that set you on the course that made you sound the way you do today? Did you have any kind of, I guess, awakening or anything like that? Saying, okay, this is what I want to be. Yeah.
And I'd say it was getting in the band, getting in New Bohemians, and getting with Edie. And all of a sudden, like in a song situation. I mean, I kind of liked fusion and stuff like that, and I, practiced, stuff that musicians like. You know what I mean? I liked stuff like that. And then the very first time we got together, and I was in the same room with Edie, and came over to jam with the band to see how it was going to go, we immediately wrote a 3-chord song that was just, I mean, as simple with a G, C, D, and I was into it. I didn't think that way. I'm just reflecting what's around me. And I would say playing with Edie really solidified what became my path for some time. And that's like playing songs and being able to accompany somebody and playing songs and trying to make a song form go down and really accompanying a singer and trying to portray a song from beginning to end and really let that, like I used to call myself the emotional, like the ambiance technician. Like I'm in charge of the ambiance and Edie's the lyrics, and that's and that's what I wanted to do. And then I wanted to learn all sorts of music because I wanted to be able to provide something different every time. And so that's where it came from. Is once I got with Edie, and she's an improviser. We improvise songs completely. Like in our shows, a lot of times I would write question marks for song 5, 7, and 9, and when we got there. Well, it was up to us to make that song happen. I literally would write question marks there, and it was going to be an improv.
And so when a question mark song comes up, you start playing something.
Yep.
The rest of the band falls in. And Edie does whatever Edie's going to do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, that's cool. And that is what changed my playing. Having a singer be an instrument in a band.
Yeah.
Come over to jam, and then you have a singer over there that's melody, lyrics, and everything, just like the bass player is doing his trip. She's a singer. And so we would jam, songs.
Yeah.
Song form.
And she could come up with lyrics just on the spot, out of her head.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is kind of a trip. A lot of our songs are written down, and that is the way you hear it, is the way it went down. That's the way it was written.
Do you have songs that you just did once that really came out good, but for whatever reason, you never did them again? They're just out there in the nether world somewhere?
Well, it's funny. There's different opinions on that. Me, if I write something, I'm like, man, I want to play that forever. That's awesome. I actually wrote something. I'm like, wow. Edie's like, whatever. She's like the next thing, She's like, does not get attached to things. She'll love it right then and there, but like then it's the next thing. In fact, that became a thing in our sets, trying to get her to play old songs. She's moved on and stuff. Yeah, it's different.
Did people come to your shows expecting to hear the stuff that was on the record, and were they disappointed when it didn't happen?
I don't think we're that bad at it.
Yeah.
But you're going to hear our latest trip if you come see us play. No question. We might even start with new songs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not always the best.
I asked that because I used to be really disappointed when I would go see a band and there would be a new guy in there and they hadn't quite worked up all the old stuff that I wanted to hear or something like that. But now I see that really if a band wants to do it that way, that's their prerogative. And really the anus is on the audience to adjust to this, you know?
Right.
And if they want to be up there just jamming and be spontaneous, well, they can do that. You pay your money to see the show, you take your chances,
Interesting. That's interesting. Take your chances. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
All right. I like that.
It can be a risky proposition if you go in there with expectations. And when you go see a band, you do go in there with expectations. Most of the time, those expectations are met.
Yeah.
But sometimes you might go see a band that you don't know anything about.
Sure.
Like I had this experience just a couple weeks ago where I went to see a band that I didn't know anything about. And so, okay, that leaves it, that puts it all on me to evaluate what they're doing and determine, number one, do I like this? Number two, are they any good? Number three, is this a night well spent or what? And fortunately, we came up pretty big on all fronts there.
You did?
Yeah, we did. But
can you say what it was?
Yeah, the Lemon Twigs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I actually enjoy them quite a bit.
Yeah, our friend Jeff K, you might know him.
Sure, the old DJ Jeff K?
Yeah, he's been big into the Lemon Twigs for 10 years at least. Like from when I was working with the Stars with him, when he discovered them, he was like, dude, you got to bring them in, play them before the next game, just find somewhere to put them. We have talked about for 10 years going and seeing them live, and it just never quite worked out until, last week or the week before, and they really were great live. So
They were?
yeah. Basically, if Jeff K tells you to go see a band, do it.
So they're kind of a pop trip? What's their deal?
I'd say so. It's real poppy, you know, the short songs and everything.
Yeah, a bit of a 60s, 70s
Yeah.
type influence and all that. Pretty cool. Really young guys. It's two brothers. I think they're about in their mid-20s now, but they're in their teens when they first started. So, been pretty cool kind of seeing the evolution.
Nice. See, we can do new things.
Yes,
Right.
we can. Anybody remember the name of the warm-up band that night, the opening act? I really liked them, too.
Yes, they were from.
They were from some small town, Lockhart or something.
Lockhart.
Yeah, Lockhart.
They were from Lockhart, and
Oh, wow.
That female, the female artist, the singer, she was amazing, beautiful voice. Beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, they were really, really good, too. Enjoyed
Nice.
them quite a bit. But anyway,
Yeah, I can't find the opener.
yeah.
But they were good. So go see them if you ever figure out who they are.
Yeah, just look for bands from Lockhart.
Probably not many. Search that right now.
That's probably going to be a very brief search.
Well, especially pop bands.
What is that?
What's what, this?
Yes.
Oh, it's a bogus Rangers World Series.
Oh, okay.
It's a replica.
Yeah,
Not bogus.
yeah, I shouldn't say bogus because they did win the World Series, and just a few nights ago was the anniversary of that, and that is the best night of my sports life, and it always will be.
I love that.
I mean, it gets no better. It will get no better for me.
Until they win again.
Until they, well, even then, it won't be like the first time. It'll be great, but there's only one first time.
It's a very special time.
You never forget your first, Shoopy.
You sure don't. Can't wait till I have my first time.
Your wedding night.
Right.
So, who were?
That was great, by the way. What is that?
Because of that, I just lost my train of thought. I was going
Oh,
somewhere
good.
with
It
that.
doesn't
I just
matter.
lost my train of thought. What?
Filled up the Dodgers winning the World Series.
Uh-oh.
No, we're talking to him, not me. We got Kenny in here to talk to him.
It's a conversation, Shoopy.
Yeah, it is. So, have you ever thought about doing a big solo instrumental album or something like that?
Wow, you are right on time with that. That is my
Am
next...
I now?
Yes.
All right.
You're exactly on time. That is my next thing. Yeah, I've never made my own recording. I've already started it. I do have a collection of tunes. And I have some singers that I've always talked with, playing with. And so I kind of want to get some different singers. I want to actually write tunes with different singers. And at least 4 of them. I don't want to make it a whole record of, just me with different people.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty boring. But I a couple singers so I can write some, like real song type things. But yeah, I'm going to do it. I've never done it. I've started it many times, but I am finally going to make my own solo record. And yeah, I can't really talk much about it. It's going to be good. It's going to be
We'll
real
believe
good. You wait.
You'll
But
see.
you're already writing the song? Have you
Yeah,
got
I've
anything already finished?
No, I don't have anything finished, but I've demoed a lot of things at my house, and I'm kind of I'm sketching out what the band is going to be, what the players are going to be. Because, I could have flown in. I have players I could have flown in, and I have good friends that are good players. But if I make a record, I want to tour with that band. I want to play gigs with that band.
Yeah.
It makes a difference to me if you change one member of a band. It's a different band. So I don't want to have a different band on my recording than I play with. So I want to get a Dallas band together. That's part of coming back here. I want it to be Dallas players and do that. And part of one thing I got together since I got back here is a new band. And the band is called Tote, T-O-T-E. Mm-hmm. And it's Paul Slavens from 10 Hands.
Right.
And Big Al and Danny from Brave Combo, and myself and John from New Bohemians. It's sort of those 3 bands put together in a jam band. I wanted to start the ultimate jam band, because Paul can do what Edie does. He can write complete songs. He does. In fact, he told me this the other day. He was at the fair, and in one day, he did 4 sets, 45-minute sets at the fair, just making up songs. Yeah, over there in that little wine nook there where they have a little stage there over by the animals, you know what I'm talking about? Anyway, they have little bands there sometimes. But he sat there and took information from the audience and just made up songs.
4 45-minute sets.
Can you believe that?
No, I can't believe that.
All about
That's
corn
incredible.
dogs.
It is.
You know, I don't know that guy very well at all, but I've always thought that he was just a fascinating cat.
Absolutely.
You know, we've only chatted just a couple times, and I think he looks down upon me as some sort of low-level pagan.
Probably
which
not.
is fine, but man, he's a really next-level guy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, as a musician, as a person, he's done voiceover work.
Yeah.
And now, and he's got behind the microphone and things like that. And he writes amazing compositions, and he's got his band 10 Hands and things. And somehow, you know, we've been talking about jamming forever, and I think it'd be fun to have a jam band that was a fun jam band. It's not about taking long solos. It's about making something happen. In fact, our first gig, what I did, I wrote a set list for our gig. We didn't rehearse. We didn't do anything. I just assembled the best players I knew, and we played up and dance. And so I wrote a set list, and it's about 27 names of songs, and we just named them up, and I handed it out before we played, and we played the set list. And like the first thing was called The First Jam Ever, and so we had the first jam ever and made it sound like that. And one was called This Jam Sucks, you know, just various names, you know, just trying to prompt a good jam and things like that. And so that's the way the first one went down. And we told everybody this song is called whatever, you know, and people they didn't know what we were doing until they saw at the end. They realized that we had just made up the entire show that they saw. They didn't know what we were doing. And so that's one way to do it. And we're going to also do where we do a theme night. We might do a band for one night and just recreate everything from one band. And we're going to have solid tunes, but this band is going to happen. And Tote is from like our vernacular in high school, the way we used to talk. Like Def Tote Wick is definitely totally wicked. And we still talk like that, Def Tote Wick. And we just say Tote constantly.
Yeah.
So we were going to have this band, and Tote totally was like, okay, Tote. And if you come to the show, you'll see we make fun of ourselves and our vernacular and things that we say the whole time.
Yeah.
It's a sort of a self-deprecating humor the whole time. So,
Have you got it booked yet?
yeah, we played up and dance once, and now we're looking to play it at Deep Elm Art Co. And each show will be completely different. I mean, it'll have a theme. I think at the next one, we're going to pass out a program. Like if you go to a symphony and you follow a program and the movements and things like that, it's the next step from a from a set list. I'm going to write a program. And so people will be following along. And at some point, there might be an audience participation at one point, and we'll get everybody and they'll know what to do because they'll be following along with their program that they read. And we'll get some fake advertisement, or maybe real advertisement. I don't know. I've never had a sponsor before for a gig. That might be cool. We should
That
go.
may be.
We'll go to Comerica Bank. Sponsor Tote if you're out there.
Maybe YDC can
Tote.
sponsor you.
A band that has no songs.
Yes.
But we're going to play a whole set. We're going to make it all up on the spot.
That's insane. Yeah.
All right, I got to talk to you about something else here.
Yes.
Something that you did for me that you're probably not aware of.
Oh, wow.
And that is, there was a phase in your career where you found yourself playing with a certain band, and you got me into that band. I had never been into this band before. You got me into them.
Wow.
That band is the Grateful Dead.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm speaking of the Forgotten Space period.
Yes.
How did that come about for you? Because I got to tell you, I found it kind of unusual that a guy like you, who had already done the new Bohemians thing, had songs that were out there and everything like that, would wind up doing something like that.
It came from, well, it just started happening in Dallas. A buddy of mine was, there's a place that used to be around called RC's, and it was the first sort of people that were getting together to play Grateful Dead music, and my buddy called me up, would you like to come down and jam? We're playing Grateful Dead songs. And my reaction was, why? It was like, why? It was like, that's all y'all do? Y'all just play Dead songs? I mean, the Grateful Dead were around. You could go see them. It was just,
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I guess I never did do that. And that grew, and that kind of grew into Club Dada and became the Dead thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I eventually did start sitting in with those guys and doing it. I mean, I really appreciated the Grateful Dead. My roommate, John Bush, percussionist for New Bohemians, was the Dead. He was a real Deadhead. And so he would play tapes all the time, and I would hear them. And there's parts of the Dead I liked, the jam aspect and the freak aspect I liked, but I wasn't really a folk dude, you know, so it's taken years for me to really get into it and stuff like that. But the Dead thing started to happen, and it was an event. And it was a format where we could jam, and I could make up stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it took me a while to be comfortable in that being original was the only thing I know how to do. Like, you hire me to sound like Kenny Withrow because it's really the only thing I can do. So to do Jerry Garcia, that took me a minute to like find me in that, you know, which I had to do. You know, okay, I can relate to that. I can relate to that. And you got to find a way to play like yourself in that world and still be the thing. So it's about vibe and tone, and everything else is me, you know.
Yeah.
That's all, that's what you could do. And I just love it. It was a challenge for me. It is a formula. And I eventually got to where I could just sink into it and have as much fun as I want to. It took some time, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really, really took some time.
I've had really always been turned off by the Grateful Dead.
Yes.
I would listen to their records and I would just think, God, man, these guys, they can't sing. They don't play that well. They don't do anything that well. Yet they're huge and people love them, and it just did not add up for me. And then I started to come and see Forgotten Space, and I gradually caught on. And then after that, when I would hear a Grateful Dead song on the radio, I can only say that this was because of hearing you guys. I began to listen to it a little bit differently. I can't say exactly how different it was or in what way it was different, but I just began to listen to it and see it through through another lens than I ever had before.
Yeah.
And then I would go back and see you guys do it again, and over time, you know, I saw you guys quite a bit. If you were playing around somewhere and I could show up, I would. And over time, I just came around to the whole thing and got to the point to where when I would hear the Grateful Dead on the radio, I'd listen to it a little bit differently. I'd say, okay, now I kind of see what's going on here, you know? And that's one thing you did for me that you probably didn't know that I really appreciate now.
Well, that makes me feel good. I had no idea I was doing that. The ambassador for the Dead. I wonder if some of it is like the way I play Grateful Dead is a little bit more like hands-on, like a 70s guitar player, like Jimmy Page would do. Like, I'm playing these notes now and you're hearing it. Jerry Garcia would be like implied notes, a lot of notes to make a thing and all, like, you know, but I'm like,
yeah.
I think it's maybe easier to listen to me play Grateful Dead than the Grateful Dead sometimes. I don't mean that in an ego way in any way. I mean that they're excessive. I mean, it took me a while to hear the Grateful Dead myself.
Yeah.
It was a lot of notes that didn't touch me. You know, I was like, okay, well, that's a lot of notes. I like to hear a few notes that are going to take me for a ride. David Gilmour is probably my favorite soloist. You know? Yeah. The solo for Time, I think, is my favorite solo of all time.
Right.
Of any song, you know, of rock and roll, you know. So that's more my style and things like that. So I think it's easier to hook somebody in. Jerry it's just different. It's a freak show. It took me a while to be able to hear it.
I understand you brought some music here today.
Oh, I do have a couple tunes. Yeah.
Well, Shoopy, are we equipped to do this over there? All right. Well, let's listen to a couple of Kenny tunes here.
So
what are these exactly?
So one is called Rough Beginnings, and that was the acoustic tune I couldn't remember the name of.
I see you playing this off an iPod. I really,
that's right.
I really respect that.
This was for you. This was
Thank
for
you.
I figured you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was a huge iPod guy, and it bothers me greatly that mine no longer work.
I just love that Kenny brought a whole suitcase just for his iPod. That's how important it is.
So there's an acoustic song. Oh, I'm incorrect. It's a different acoustic song. It's a song. There's a song called "One Arm Bandit." You might like this song because it's sort of. So you know who Edie's dad was, right? Eddie,
yeah.
Brickell, right.
Right.
Yeah.
He was a bowler for the Dallas Broncos. There was a time, and this is going way, way back here into the 60s, the early 60s, in fact, when there was a professional bowling league out there that was set up like the NFL or like the leagues that we know today. And we had a team here called the Dallas Broncos. And whenever they would have a match with somebody over there at the Bronco Bowl, which is the entire, really pretty much the entire reason the Bronco Bowl was ever even built, you would read about it in the paper the next day, and the star player, the star bowler on their squad was Edie Brickell.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he was a badass. And Edie was his daughter.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. She still honors him in different ways. When we did Jimmy Fallon last year, and you can watch it on YouTube, if you look, there's a round crystal ball in the shape of a bowling ball, and there's a bowling pin next to it. She has it just sitting off to the side. That's a little nod to Dad. It's on the set.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of
That's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, but I think he was. There's gambling in her family for fun. They all go to Oklahoma and do some gambling, and there might have been some bowling gambling. My dad was a bowling gambler, and he was terrible at it. He would even travel around just to make sure he was terrible at it. But he tried to be a bowling shark, and he just lost lots of money at it. But Edie and her mom, they like to go up to Oklahoma and whatnot. And we wrote a song called "One Arm Bandit" that's about slot machine ladies.
Sure.
And that's what this song is about, if you want to hear it.
Let's do it.
All right. This is called One Arm Bandit. It's an outtake from our Rocket record. Let me see if this works.
Oh, I hope it works.
I believe in you.
Oh, weird.
She fell in love with a one-armed bandit. Went to see him every single chance she got. She took her paycheck up to Oklahoma, to the casino, Choctaw. He flirted with her, gave her cherries and diamonds, made her think that she'd hit the jackpot. But when she didn't, well, she just felt like crying. Driving back to Dallas, busted, broke, and distraught. Blame it all on the one-armed bandit. Blame it all on the one-armed bandit. Blame it all on the one-armed bandit. Her daddy got mad and he took his John Deere tractor hat off, threw it down and wiped his brow with a rag. I can't believe you're asking me again, enough is enough. Already gave you every nickel that I had. Blame it all on the one-armed bandit. Blame it all on the one-armed bandit. Blame it all on the one-armed bandit. Damn it, girl. Her daddy said, I got no money for to give it all away. I got no money for to throw it all away. I got no money for a girl to go and play.
First time?
All right. That's what's up.
They shut her water off.
You don't have to play
and
publishing
cut her
'cause it's not published,
electricity. She sits at home in the dark, no place to go. She says, I'm all alone and they have all abandoned me. just 'cause I owe everybody that I know. Blame it all on the one-armed bandit. Blame it all on the one-armed bandit. Blame it all on the one-armed bandit.
Thank you. It does stop eventually.
I don't believe you.
Wow, how about that?
Hell yeah.
Thank y'all.
Nice.
That is very New Bohemians.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Very New Bohemians.
Excellent. Thank you.
And boy, she's good.
Right?
God, I'd forgotten. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen you guys. I kind of lost track of that. Mm-hmm. Got another there?
I do have another. It's a little bit longer. You sure? Yeah.
We can hang.
Yeah.
Hey, all right.
We're not scared.
Time constraints, us.
No such thing.
Not in the world of the podcast. That's a great thing about it, Kenny.
This is a live version. The song is called Green Magic. I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah.
This is a riff tune. This is written out of Todd and Kathy's warehouse. And this is a song called Green Magic. And this is a live version from our barn. Like I was saying, we've been jamming in the barn down there. And so this is live from the barn.
All right, Green Magic from the barn.
Can I go use the restroom?
Yeah.
It's in the air, it's everywhere. It's in the walls, in the halls, in the forest, in the field.
All right,
Hell yeah.
Green Magic.
Oh.
That's in 7, huh?
Are you off?
We will be.
Sorry, I was trying to turn it off.
One more time.
We're off.
That was awesome.
Well, Kenny Withrow,
Yes, sir.
thank you, man. Thank you for coming in today. We really appreciate this. It's been great to sit you down and get to know you a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, we bumped into each other all these years and never really gotten to do this
Well, you
before.
were really kind to me. Well, I was fortunate enough to sit in with the Los Lobos at the down at the Opera House.
Yeah.
That one time.
Yeah.
And you really pulled me aside, and then you were really kind to me and said some really kind words to me. And yeah, we kind of been friends ever since then. I really appreciate that.
Well, you're good, man. And, I mean, it's really been great to watch you play all these years with whatever you've been involved in and get you in here today and pick your brain a little bit on this
Hey, man, I love
stuff.
what you guys are doing, man. Best of luck to you. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, there he is, the great Kenny Withrow, everybody.
Yay. I wish I had talent.
And this has been Your Dark Companion. We thank you very much for watching. Thanks to Shoopy. Thanks to Ashley. Thanks to Mickey. Thanks to Becca. Until next time, I'm Mike Rhyner. Bye.
All right. I'm gonna go take my pants off.
Your Dark Companion is a Stolen Water Media presentation.